If right now your team is bringing you every problem, like they are constantly coming to you, they are always waiting for you to figure out what to do or how to fix things or what needs to happen next, then unfortunately, you're not running your business. Your business is running you. And while right now it might be really easy to point fingers and blame your people and wish that you just had better A players who could think for themselves, in the hundreds of businesses where we have seen this problem play out, almost always, it's actually not a people problem. It's a systems issue. So in this video, I am going to break down how do we operationalize problem solving so that we can create a team that not only thinks for themselves and comes up with their own ideas, but solves their own problems so they can move the business forward without you constantly needing to be there to oversee or to micromanage every decision. So let's talk about this. First off, we have to understand, why does our team come to us for every decision, with every problem? It's not because your team is incapable of thinking for themselves or solving their own problems, even though it feels that way. It feels like, God, just like, why can't they just figure it out? Or maybe I've already told them how to fix it, and yet they still come to me the next time this problem comes up. What is happening here? What's happening is not that your team is dumb or incapable. What's happening is that we have actually trained this behavior and this dependency into our team. So here's how I most often see it work. I call this the magic vending machine. And the magic vending machine looks like this. If I was a member of your team and on the desk in front of me every day, next to my computer, there was a magic vending machine. And anytime I had a problem or I had a question or something got a little bit hard, I could just press a button on that magic vending machine and out would pop an answer. Oh my gosh, I would press that button all day. I would press that button constantly. And it has nothing to do with me not being an A player or me not being able to solve my own problems. There's a magic vending machine right here. It's always correct. It's fast. It's easy. Of course, I'm going to press the button. 9 times out of 10, when we are looking at a company-wide pattern of founder dependency and problem solving, it's because the founder with the best of intentions is showing up as the magic vending machine. The founder has trained their team that anytime the team has a question, they can just ask the founder in Slack and out will pop a perfect answer to that question, or out will pop a fix to that problem, or a save for that hard, uncomfortable thing that the team member doesn't want to do, like handle a client fire. So when we show up as the magic vending machine, we teach our team to use it. Again, it's not that they can't think for themselves or solve their own problems. It is that it is 100% easier, safer, and faster to not have to. If instead, I can always go to my founder, ask a question, bring them a problem, and they will just fix it for me. So if we want our team to start solving their own problems, we need to learn, how do we turn off the magic vending machine? How do we as leaders show up differently so that instead our team has everything that they need, as well as the responsibility and understanding that it is their job to solve their own problems, the problems that are associated with their role and with their projects. So how do we do that? In order to solve their own problems, your team needs exactly 3 things. And all 3 of these things are captured in a single tool that we call our leadership scorecard. So this was such a persistent problem that me and my team actually built a scorecard to help our clients with this exact issue. This scorecard is there to measure and level up your team, and specifically your leadership team, to level up your managers, to hold them accountable, and to ensure that, especially at the leadership level, you have the right people in the right seats who are capable of solving the problems associated with their role. So we built this for our clients. It was absolutely transformational, so transformational that now we just give it away for free. So go ahead, you can actually grab a copy of the leadership scorecard. It's in the link down in the description. Do that now, because the 3 things that we're about to talk about all get operationalized, all get made tangible and tactical in the leadership scorecard tool. So go ahead, grab that tool, make a copy, and then follow along as we learn how to take these 3 things and build them into a tool like the scorecard so that our team can start to manage their own problems. Okay, you got it? Perfect. So the 3 things that our team needs to be problem solvers. Number 1, they need clarity over the outcomes of their role. Okay, I'm gonna break that down a little bit closer. So they need a very clear and explicit understanding of what are the outcomes associated with my role. Outcomes is the key word here. If you go into the leadership scorecard, the very first section in every scorecard is the outcomes section. The outcomes as opposed to the inputs, right? So let me give you a very tactical example. Let's say that we have a sales manager role, right? Defining the outcomes associated with our head of sales role is going to be things like maintain an average of, let's say, a 25% qualified call to close conversion rate month over month, right? Train and up-level a high-performance sales team as measured by 80% of all closers are hitting their KPIs at all times. Build a outbound appointment setting team that makes 500 calls a day, right? Whatever it is, right? These are the outcomes associated with the role. What we don't put into the outcome section are things like hire exactly 3 closers, run daily trainings for 45 minutes with the closing team, review the call recordings on Tuesdays and Thursdays, have the team update their KPIs every single day, right? These are tasks. These are inputs. All of those things are necessary and important, right? If we need a great sales manager, then they're going to be responsible for hiring and for training and for making sure the data is kept up to date. But that's not what we are measuring success in their role on. And that's not what we're telling them their job is, right? Their job isn't to show up every day and have a 45-minute sales training. Their job is to produce an exceptional sales team, a high-performing sales team. Daily training is just one of the tasks that needs to be done in order to achieve the outcome. So why is it so important that we focus on outcomes instead of inputs? Because when we, number one, clarify outcomes, which is exactly what you do in that leadership scorecard, step number 2 is we then transfer full and radical ownership over those outcomes to our team. So now that we have clearly painted a picture of this is exactly what success in a head of sales role at my company needs to look like, and these are the outcomes that you are responsible for achieving. Now I get to go to my head of sales and I get to say, these outcomes, these are yours now. You are the only person on this company who is capable of delivering on these outcomes. Do whatever you gotta do to make this happen. Have as many sales trainings as you need. Hire as many appointment setters as you need. You know what the outcomes are. You own the process of achieving those outcomes. You own the responsibility for figuring out what is it gonna take for me and for the business to hit these outcomes. You have ownership over the key decisions that will need to be made in order to hit this outcome, right? Do we hire this person or this person? And this is where it all comes back around, you have ownership for the problems you encounter on the way to achieving these outcomes. So when we have done these 2 things, we've set outcomes and then we've transferred ownership over those outcomes. What we have also transferred ownership over are the problems. Any problems that come up in your role are your problems. You own the responsibility of identifying those problems and then figuring out what needs to be done to solve those problems. So that's the very first piece here. The point of all of that is that when a problem arrives, does your team immediately think to themselves, oh, it's a problem, go to the magic vending machine, right? Not my problem. I can actually just hit a button on the magic vending machine, out will pop an answer, my boss will take ownership, and now that problem is off of my plate. When we show up as the magic vending machine, we accidentally rob our team of ownership. When they come to us with these problems and we just answer them, as opposed to turning it back on them and saying things like, well, what do you think we should do about this? How have you tried to solve this problem in the past? What resources do you need to figure out how to solve this problem, right? When you keep the ownership of solving the problem with them, then we turn off the magic vending machine. Now it is their problem to solve. And I am here as a support and as a coach in helping you solve that problem. I'll be a thinking partner to help you muddle through that problem with you and see what you think we should do. I will stress test your ideas and the solutions you come up with to make sure that they're strong and make sure that they're actually going to solve the problem. But what I will not do is solve that problem for you. And that is clear from day one in how we lead, by building these scorecards and then transferring ownership over the outcomes. I said that there were 3 steps to this process, and the 3rd step is absolutely essential, because maybe you have tried this and you're like, Jhana, I tried to get them to solve the problem and then they came back and it was totally wrong, right? They tried to solve the problem like their way, but they got it absolutely backwards. It was totally wrong. It didn't work at all. It cost me a lot of time. It cost me a bunch of money. I learned that it was just faster and easier for me to solve the problem, because at least then they're going to do it right? Yes, I see that all the time, which is where the 3rd step comes in, which is, in addition to clarifying outcomes, in addition to transferring ownership, the 3rd step is that we need to provide context. Context, meaning what is all of the contextual information that this person needs to know, so that when it comes time for them to make the decision or them to solve the problem, they do it the quote unquote right way. They do it the way that is in alignment with how we need them to do it, right? They may not do it exactly the way that we would do it, but they will do it in a way that aligns with our core values, it aligns with our company's strategy, it aligns with our priorities. And the only way they can do that is if they have the context, like our company core values, our company's strategic vision, our 90-day priorities, right? Our job as founders, we sit above everyone else. We see the entire business. We have the most amount of visibility. We have the most amount of context out of anybody at our company. And it all just lives here in our head. And so it's so easy to forget that our team doesn't see, they literally do not see everything that we see, because they don't sit at our level of the org chart. They lack all of the context around our vision and our values and where we want to take the company and what's so important and what's the most important thing for our head of sales to achieve in the next 90 days and why is it a 25% conversion rate and why did we build an outbound appointment setting team, right? We have all of this context locked in our brain. Our job is to communicate that to our leaders and to our key decision makers, so that when they go to solve the problem or to make the decision or to achieve the outcome, they are doing it from the right set of information. They have everything that they need, all of the data pieces, so that if we've put the right person in the right role, which I should say is also important, right? We need to trust our leaders and know we have the right people in those seats. But if we've put the right person in the right role and we've given them 100% of the context that they would need to make the right decision, then they're gonna make the right decision. Why wouldn't they? Right person, right seat, with the right context, they can now make the decision. They can now solve the problem. If your team is coming back and trying to solve their own problems, but doing it the wrong way, like they're just missing the mark, it is almost always not because they can't solve the problem, but because they are missing a critical piece of context, a critical piece of information that they need in order to solve that problem a better way. So, how do we turn off the magic vending machine? Number 1, we clearly define outcomes for every single person on our team. Number 2, we transfer ownership over those outcomes so it is abundantly clear that they own the results and the problems associated with their role. And then number 3, when we do support our team in solving these problems, because again, I'm not saying that you're never going to help your team solve a problem. If the problem's bad, if it's crunchy, they'll still come to you. And let's be honest, you still want them to, right? You want them to escalate the worst things in the business so that you can keep an eye on it and you can have awareness around what those problems are. But when they come to you, they're coming to you through the lens of, I need the support of a coach to help me think through, process through, stress test out, get creative around how I solve this problem. What I don't need is a magic vending machine to tell me exactly how to solve this problem and exactly how you would do it, and here's the next step, because that's going to train the dependency. So we show up to our team as a coach, and the way we do that is by stress testing their thinking and, most importantly, offering context. What do you think we should do? And they come back with like a totally bananas answer. Okay, help me understand how you got to that answer. That is such a powerful question to ask as a leader, because what it will tell you is what is the erroneous or missing context that they're operating from. why the heck did they think that was a good idea? They will just tell you, and then you can see, okay, you're missing this piece of context over here, or we've actually already tried that once and this is what happened, or you're not taking into account this piece of data over here. And that's where we get to support our team, is by looking in their blind spots, stress testing their ideas, and offering them context so they can make the decisions and they can solve the problems. If we have done these things correctly, then again, for the really big crunchy problems, your team can and should still escalate those to you. But the run-of-the-mill day-to-day problems can and should start to just disappear from your awareness. It doesn't mean that they aren't still happening. It just means that your team feels empowered and clear to start solving their own problems, and do so in such a way where for the small stuff, they actually don't even need you. They don't even need to run it by you. And I can't tell you how many times I've hopped onto a team meeting where I have heard about a problem that I didn't even know was occurring, but my team member had already taken it, run with it, solved it, pulled in another team member if they needed support, and the whole thing got resolved without me ever needing to be in the loop. That is where we are trying to get to by installing outcomes, ownership, and context. So when you've created a self-managing, self-problem solving team like that, what you've created is leverage. But that doesn't necessarily guarantee that your company is going to make progress, right? Your team can be really busy solving a lot of problems that still don't actually move the needle on the business. So in the next video, I want to break down why exactly it is that busy teams often get very little done, and exactly how to fix it, so that you can learn how to cut through the noise, cut through the false productivity, clarify priorities, streamline execution, so that your team can show up, solve the right problems, and make major progress, driving growth to your business without you in the weeds. So grab that video. I will see you over there. Happy problem solving.